Welcome to Broadwood for the final game in the women's season in Scotland. It's cup final day. It's Glasgow City against Spartans, and after the dramas of Wednesday night, we're looking forward to this one. Paul Elliot is alongside me, who's seen the game. Paul, have you recovered from Wednesday? Can you sort your thoughts after that one?
Just about recovered, yeah. I think everybody's been flying since the game, since the victory. It's been a great week for Glasgow City, and you can't think of a better fitting end to the week than a cup final. So it's been a good time for the club.
The City players are warming up just behind us ahead of kick-off, which it should be an exciting one. Do you think they'll be still up for this, or do you think there might be a fear that they could still be in party mode?
Hopefully they won't be in party mode. I'm sure they'll be right up for it. They've got a great record in this competition, great season for them, and obviously the momentum of the game during the week will be carrying on through to today. So I'm sure they'll be well up for it, and we're bound to see a really good game.
Well, looking at the run for both sides, first of all with Glasgow City, their toughest game was probably the second round against Celtic, winning by 2-0. Then they played the B team, Celtic 20s, and won 7-0 in the third round. A big 11-0 win against Hamilton in the quarter-finals, and then a 4-0 semi-final win against Hibs, that one after the Merrick Conan game. So you can see why they maybe were up for that. So it could be a similar boat today, but looking at the run, as I say, the Celtic game in the second round was probably the hardest game.
I would say so. Celtic are a good team, definitely the closest game in terms of the result, and the performance as well. Probably to get a game like that out quite early, I think it's good for the club, and it's definitely set them on their way as the runs continued. It's been kind of clean sailing since then.
And looking at Spartans, they actually had an easy second round because Cowdenbeath with Druth did a bye through to the third round. Then they beat Forfar by 5-2. Inverness City were at 5-0 victory in the quarter final, and then probably the hardest game for them was potentially against Aberdeen, a side who are in the top 6 in the Women's Premier League, but they won 4-1 at Ravenscraig. So again, a fairly easy run for Spartans.
It has been, but they've had a good season. It's been a good league campaign for them, top 4, and obviously they've had a good game against City earlier on in the season, managed to get a victory. So it has been an easy run for them in the cup competition, but they're in the final, and deservedly so. You don't get to the final for nothing.
That win, of course, the long unbeaten run that went, so there'll be a bit of needle in this one, especially for Glasgow City looking to try and get a fight back from that defeat. I'm
sure there will be. I'm sure it'll be back in the minds of the players when they come out. They managed to, they lost that game against Spartans, so there will be a bit of revenge, I'm sure, on the minds of the players. So we'll see how this one goes. And I suppose one thing to mention, of course, last night it was Glasgow City award ceremony, and the senior level, Fiona Brown winning the Young Player of the Year, Denise Silva including that with Players Player of the Year, Coaches Player of the Year, Fans Player of the Year. So it's been a great season for those two and probably deserving of their awards. Yeah, definitely. They've both been fantastic. They were both fantastic during the week as well, and I'm sure they're well pleased and well deserving of the awards that they got last night. Well done. And I suppose finally, before we head away into the commentary position, or I do anyway, what's your predictions for the final? I think City will win it. I think Spartans will score though, but I think City will win it by the odd goal, so I'm going to go for 3-1. Okay, that's Paul Elliott's thoughts. We'll hear more from Paul at full time. I'm going to head myself up to the commentary area. It's Glasgow City against Spartans in the Scottish Cup final. So Glasgow City are going to get this. Underway then in the usual orange jersey. Susan Fairley and Suzanne Lappin ready for kick-off. Referee just making sure everything is ready. Decent crowd as well for this Scottish Cup final. It is. Look, the curtain comes down in 90 minutes, or possibly more time for the season. But Glasgow City do get this underway, and Scottish Cup final action here at Broadwood. Much of this team, as I'm saying, the top are in the team. Nikadita, of course, in for the injured Leah Alexander. And Susan Fairley up front today in place of Morgan Malbrook.
Leanne Ross assessing her options for Glasgow City. Nearly 9 minutes gone in this Women's Scottish Cup final. It's floated in by Ross, and the glancing header's almost an own goal from Claire Crosby, but Harrison has to just tip it away, and that was a dangerous ball in which nearly connected off for Spartans, a wrong head. A little flick though for Spartans there, finds Glasgow City, and here's Joe Love. Brown in space on the right hand side. Still Brown, lovely stuff from Fiona Brown, past Marshall, and that is a sensational strike from Fiona Brown. The first time she's really got in behind, and she got in behind Anna Marshall there, and an absolute fabulous goal, and what a way to get the cup final going. Glasgow City lead after 25 minutes from another sensational Fiona Brown strike, and what a season she's had. There to stop that coming to Fairlight. Cleland with a good little feint and trying to get past Ross. Still Cleland. Sliced across for Montgomery. It's Montgomery, but comfortable in the hands of Nikki Dieter. Ross. Still Leanne Ross and Harrison. It's off the crossbar and over from Joe Love. Leanne Ross sees the space and thought, I'm going for that, and it almost worked out. Harrison was on her tiptoes. She may have got a little touch into stoppage time. Lappin. McSorley to O'Sullivan. Abby Grant. Abby Grant's found space. It's O'Sullivan. Denise O'Sullivan! Oh, what a sweet finish from Denise O'Sullivan. And right in the stroke of half time, she joined Suzanne Lappin with 20 goals this season. There could be a battle in the second half. But just what Spartans didn't want, a second goal conceded before half time. That may well deflate them. It's 2-0 to Glasgow City. Clark slid in there a little bit on the surface. Ball over the top by McLaughlin for Kerry Montgomery. She was onside. Katie Riley. Riley across, and it's fizzed all the way. Dieter was scrambling a bit there in flat space, but Crosby couldn't get out of her feet. O'Sullivan, lovely feet and turn and skill on O'Sullivan now on the march. Emma Black out there. Emma Black tries to float one, it's off the crossbar there. Completely deceived the keeper, completely deceived everyone else. And from nothing, wonderful trick shot from Emma Black. Ends up with the corner for Glasgow City. That's came down, and Morgan Marlborough on the chase. Getting involved since coming on. It's Fairley, and Fiona Brown will tap in, and that will secure the Scottish Women's Cup. Surely now Fiona Brown gets in the act again, and it is fitting that Brown has scored two, O'Sullivan with the other, both winning club awards last night, and Fiona Brown's tremendous season is ending as much the way as it started and continued all the way through. Fiona Brown for number 3. Morgan Marlborough setting that up for Fairley, and then for Brown to finish off. And I think that'll be curtains now for Spartans, who are trying to get there early on. And Kerry Montgomery very quickly tried to get things back going for Spartans, at least get on the score. The Australian goalkeeper. It's Love. Fairley on the rampage on the right hand side, trying to get round Palarulo. O'Sullivan. It's Joe Love, and I think he got a nick on the way through, but it's another goal for Glasgow City, and just over 12 minutes to go. They've got a comfortable 4-0 lead. Joe Love with the strike, and of course the crucial strike on Wednesday night in the Champions League, but involved again. And I think the little deflection may well have put it off course for Harrison to try and save. Comes back to Leanne Ross. Brown feints that for Marlborough. Marlborough tries to play through. It's Joe Love. Fantastic. Absolutely terrific from Joe Love. No deflections, just sheer class this time. And it is a 5th goal. And Joe Love all round game this season has been sensational. And she's scored a number of goals to boot, and that is her 2nd of the game, and 5-0 with just over 5 minutes to go of normal time. Docherty. Boyce making the run forward, still Docherty. Gets round Briggs. Lappin's there. Fairley, Lappin, Fairley! Wonderful save from Rachel Harrison. Wonderful football it was. And the switched out to Beveridge, but just miscontrols her touch, and frustrating for her and for Spartans it has been today. And there we are, and it is trebles all round as Glasgow City have eased their way to the Scottish Cup after their Premier League Cup and the league title. It's a treble for Glasgow City and more celebrations after the Champions League delight in midweek, after the hoodoo of losing to Spartans in the league a couple of months ago. They've came to Broadwood in the final and they've won the Scottish Cup again.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2014 Scottish title winners, Glasgow City!
So here we are then after the game. Came down from the coach here, Paul Elliot, watching the game. Well, what do you make of that then? 5-0?
5-0, well deserved. Yeah, brilliant performance. Second half is when it really came alive, I think. Sullivan came into the second half a lot more than she was in the first half, and I think the class in the end just kind of was telling for Glasgow City.
So it was a bitty game, certainly in the first half, and Spartans, we've seen it in the league, especially when they won against Glasgow City, but they found that little break, and Fiona Brown was thinking she's had a quiet game, she doesn't have a lot of them, and then bang, what a goal.
Superb. They were doing very well to nullify the wings, Spartans were, because that's where Glasgow City get a lot of their goals from, crosses into the box. But Fiona Brown, once she managed to cut inside on her left foot, as soon as she hit the ball, you could tell it was going into the back of the net, and it was a work of art in the end. It was a great goal. And then,
stroke of half time, Dean Sullivan pops up to match up with Suzanne Lappin, 20 goals in the season now. I mean, for Spartans, I mean, there's still the chance to sign up, but do you really think that was maybe the killer?
They were playing quite well, Spartans. It was definitely a bitter blow for them anyway. It was really good play by Abby Grant to set it up, and Sullivan just right place, right time, and managed to put it in the bottom corner. But it would have been a definite hard blow for Spartans to take, and a very good time for Glasgow City to score.
And then it came into the second half where, well, it was again fairly tight. I mean, Spartans had a little bit of a good start to the second half, but in the end it sort of broke away, and then towards 70 minutes Fiona Brown getting in the act again, and that's fairly sweet goal.
Very nice, yeah. It was all down to Fairley for me. I thought Fairley did excellent on the right hand side. Brown got into some really good space, Fairley picked her out, and it was an easy goal in the end, but really good play by Glasgow City. It was a nice bit of interchanging, and a good pick out by Fairley for Brown to score.
And from that, you said Spartans were tiring a little bit, changes was coming on, but Jo Lovewood started, and being a key figure in the team all season, a player that doesn't do much wrong with her. She's having to play centre back or in the midfield, and the fourth goal was slightly fortuitous. There was a bit of a deflection similar to her goal on Wednesday night, but her fifth, that was another sweet goal.
It was brilliant. I was watching Jo Love throughout the game and thinking, you're just running the show. You know, she was absolutely fantastic, but she had a bit of time with that goal, and she did all the right thing, flicked it up for herself and just lifted it over the goalkeeper, and you know, it's a very nice way to end the game for City. Brilliant goal.
It was a nice touch as well, looking at the Glasgow City side, obviously a number of changes coming on. You're a bit of a young football connoisseur, so to speak. We've covered a few of the youth team games, and Carla Boyce, 15 years old, been part of the Champions League squad and the league squad a few times, and remember in the cup final, girls cup final last year, losing that time, coming on almost in there, little half chance, but good bit of atmosphere for her to come on.
Yeah, it's about breeding young players as well, isn't it? And we've watched Carla Boyce for 17s with Glasgow City for a couple of years now. So it's good to see her getting onto this stage, and you know, she could have scored there. It was a good chance for her to run through, and if you just took it first time, I think she maybe have got a goal. But it's a good learning experience for the young players that came on, and it's good to see City bringing through young players as well.
Of course, Suzanne Lappin was up there with 20 goals after the winner on Wednesday night. O'Sullivan tied at 20. We kind of thought has there been a little bit of a deal on behind the doors? If we get to level terms, we just hold on to it, because it was, I mean, Suzanne Lappin was in places, but both in 20 goals. I wonder how they're going to share that.
Yeah, well, there was also Leanne Ross as well, who was just one behind, and she had a good dig from about 30 yards in the first half that hit the bar, so maybe they all had their eye in getting these extra goals to get in the top of that chart. But you know, it's been a great season for goal scoring for Glasgow City. It's good to see that they've got so many players who can score important goals as well.
From that, obviously Morgan Marble was on the bench today. Susan Fairley started. Would that be maybe a place, or where would you say that Glasgow City needs strength with Champions League next season still on the go, and as well as for a title defence?
It'd be good to see the front players score more. I think Fairley was excellent today. In fact, I'd maybe give her player of the match. She's so hard working, does so much work for the team, and she created 2 goals. Marble is a kind of similar type player, more physical, makes good runs, but the ball doesn't seem to be going into the net as you would like it to. But I think there's definitely areas up front where they can be very, very good and create chances and score more goals if you can score more goals. But it might be an area where they're looking to bring in somebody.
And I suppose a little word off the Spartans being one of the opposition. They've disappeared down the tunnel. They had a good end to the season, from this fourth. The top sides like your Rangers and your Hibs, they've got a bit of experience, a lot of young players coming through, as you've seen quite a few of them as well as I have. And where do you see things going? We probably don't expect overnight change, the turn of the tails at the top, but can you see maybe the gap closing at the top of the table? Well,
possibly. Spartans have had a good season, and they do have some good players. You can definitely see there's a lot of commitment in their team. They're a very hard working team, quite aggressive in the way they play. Actually, they're very they want to win everything, every challenge. So if you've got that kind of attitude, then maybe this gap can shorten a wee bit and give City more tougher games. And I think today actually was quite a tough game, despite the scoreline. Glasgow City had to work for it.
And final words, Glasgow City this season, treble, quarter-final Champions League, pretty much perfect, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. They've been absolutely brilliant all season, and definitely well deserved. You can see the players have got the type of football they play as well, that they're just a cut above everybody else at the moment, and it's really good to see them do so well.
Thank you very much, Paul. Great to see you. So there we have it then in the cup final. Glasgow City winning handsomely in the end as the season closes. We're off to do some Christmas shopping, and we'll see you in the new year.